I guess I should say something, right? Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are reviewing the new Theory of a Deadman record, Say Nothing. This is the 7th studio album from the post-grunge band of Delta, British Columbia. Let's get the obvious out there right away. Theory, over the years, they have been notoriously known for sounding like fellow Canadian rockers, Nickelback. And I might ask a fair question, in a world where we already have one Chad Kroeger, do we really need another? Joke aside about the lead vocals, we also have a similar hard rock sound that carries on the traditions of original grunge legends. And as much as I do love me some post-grunge, it's been a long time since I've cared for a Theory of a Deadman record as a whole. We'd have to go back to like 2008 with Scars and Souvenirs for me to be religiously listening to Theory. But even if I'm not on board with their most recent catalog, I can still admit that they come through with decent singles or even a half-decent Chris Isaak cover of Wicked Game. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. What Theory and many of their contemporaries face as a major challenge instead, especially years after their creative and commercial peak, that kind of boils down to them getting lost in the shuffle of stylistic trends. Instead of riding off the coattails of famous grunge acts, many post-grunge groups nowadays are stuck, not knowing where to look. Basically just trying to figure out who they want their audience to be, if they want to have hip-hop beats, pop hooks, or if they just want to stick with plain alternative rock. I'll say it's kind of a weird thing for Theory of a Deadman to be doing this, to be traveling into their own territory of music, separating themselves from even their contemporaries like Nickelback. But I'll also say this, Theory, at least over their past couple albums, they've kind of carved out their own path with dramatic and theatrical alternative rock. They've now paired this thrilling atmosphere with a political focus in their songwriting. This was the case for most of the singles on Say Nothing, History of Violence, for example, which delves into topics like physical abuse and the Me Too movement. Strangers was the second single to drop in 2019. This song established lyrical themes of social media and gun violence. Almost a little bit of social commentary from Theory of a Deadman, which ended up being a nice, somewhat new thing for them to tackle on their tracks. They're certainly not strangers when it comes to talking about lowlifes or just socioeconomics at large. This was the focus on their track Affluenza, which acts as a pretty solid critique of people buying materials that they can't afford. Sure, it has cringy lyrics, like the references to Mickey D's, but stylistically, at the core of it, I can appreciate what the track is doing also with its minimal piano and stop-and-start drum breaks. Theory of a Deadman can even accurately pinpoint issues in relationships with great awareness for how silence can help things turn sour on the title track. Along with the title track and a song like Affluenza, there are a few quality moments on Say Nothing from the production standpoint as well. The song White Boy and its slick sound complements the building tension as it feels a bit poppier than the usual Theory tune. Meanwhile, the strings and bombastic drums on Black Hole in Your Heart, or even the angsty performance on World Keeps Spinning, those elements enhance the ominous and frantic world is ending type narrative. Beyond that, though, this album really does fall apart with its safe and cliched lyrics. Whether it's the corny ASMR reference on It's All Good, or the melodramatic The City's on Fire reference on History of Violence, Theory's lyrics are noticeably lacking substance. Even with a musically solid moment like on World Keeps Spinning, its enjoyment is kneecapped by the cringy lyrics of Missing Your Ma and Friends. When Theory tried to write with more sophisticated words, some of them even seem a bit too far-fetched or unreal or just unlikely to come up with off the top of your head. Seriously, for me personally, I just can't see a natural songwriting session where you come up with these kinds of words without having to use a thesaurus or a dictionary. Even the lyrical potential behind a track like Ted Bundy, with all that could be said about the famous and crazed serial killer, Theory of a Deadman elect to play it safe and just repeat the same lines over and over again, saying, "I love you to death." To summarize my issues with the lyrics on this record, I just feel like so many of them are just surface level. You know, they say things like trying to speak about rallies going silent in the streets. Songwriting that is just trying so hard to tie things together with lyrical themes, or at least just trying to jam in as many references to other songs as possible. When you force cohesive commentary, it just doesn't work as well as if you naturally let it happen. This is the same issue that South Park writers faced while they were writing serialized plots on their 20th season. So whether it's television or music, forcing a message is one of the last things you want to be doing, or else you're just going to come off as calculated or contrived. Now, to run the issues of Say Nothing to another level, although some hooks can be catchy, some just come off as flat out lazy in their writing, like on the millennial whoop of Strangers, or even the extremely happy melody of Ted Bundy that doesn't suit frontman Tyler Connolly at all. Okay, so I've done my fair share of hating on this record. I will actually acknowledge the amount of stylistic growth that Theory of a Deadman have shown on Say Nothing compared to their past works. As Theory attempt to widen their audience, we can hear a lot of staccato and hip-hop flows from Tyler, even in conjunction with some ticking hi-hats to support him. These elements are mainly heard on the tracks History of Violence and Strangers, which are bold statements to make as Theory of a Deadman. Like, I couldn't have imagined these guys writing these songs 15 years ago. Yeah, the evolution is there, but sadly this record is just a mixed bag for me. One song I'll be like, yeah, I like this, and then the next one I'll be rushing to skip it. I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of album I want to be listening to. I shouldn't have to skip every other song on the back half of an album, and for that I'm feeling a 5 out of 10 on this record. Not as bad as many people are making this record out to be, but it's also not great by any means. Sitting on the fence with this one, but yeah, there are some tracks I get enjoyment out of. Just coming back to it as a whole, I get a little hesitant with that. So those are my thoughts on the new Theory of a Deadman record. Sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of this music. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a rockin' day.